Yes, so welcome, dear friends. Welcome to Satsang. And welcome everyone that joins us around the world tonight. If you could give me a little sign whether you can hear me well, whether this microphone actually works or not, that would be great. Okay. There's one topic, the topic. Somebody else is coming, so we wait a little bit for the topic. This is the topic, don't miss it. The topic of exploration, which is very close to my heart in the moment, or these days, or very much since the Art of Love and Intimacy course for couples, because there it felt like all the couples actually touched something that I haven't experienced in such a clarity or depth with a group of people, I would say, ever. So it was a very special situation and very, very simple. And if I can put words to this, it is the experience or the discovery or the revelation of what the mind has heard 1,000 times. But somehow it begins to trickle beyond the mind into that mystery that we cannot name, and yet which we could call our true nature, which is the formless part of our being. So you remember we played with this. I think all of you have been playing with this again and again. But I want to remind us all into this, that in our human experience, most of us, most of the time, go out with our attention to objects. This is just how it is. No? Objects can be seen, can be perceived with the senses, and in this case objects are also sounds, they are also sensory experiences, feeling, there are visual experiences, there are smelling and tasting experiences, and usually our energy goes out to the object that seems to create that experience. And when we reverse that movement from outward to inward, which is what meditation is all about, then if we are persistent enough, we move from the object, let's say from seeing, to the experience of seeing, to the sensory experience of seeing, and then to this illusory or elusive I see an object. And when the moment we question, we actually look into this I, what do you find? Has anybody ever found anything? And yet I is ever present. Each time we say, I feel, I see, I think, I know, I have, I is prior to every experience. Okay, is that easy to follow? I is prior to every experience, and yet we never pay attention to it. Because it's not a thing, it's not an it. That's why the mind has nothing to do there. And yet when we go a little bit deeper into the question, into that the questioning of what or who is experiencing, and it seems to be easier, of course, with a positive experience, but it also is the same thing with negative experience. The I, that which is aware, is beyond good and bad, is beyond right and wrong, beyond high and low, beyond all the dualities. And what Osho kept talking about when he talked about choiceless awareness. And they're fancy words and beautiful words, but what do they point to? They point to simply space. And this is very big when, how to say, as in our personality we relate to each other, so we trigger experiences within each other. And when we are not focused outward anymore, just bring every experience home, we always land in space, in no thing. So then comes the question, well, what about my personality? Well, the personality is a made-up construct. It's fantastic. It works. It kind of includes the body and all our beliefs and identifications and whatever makes the person. And we realize the person is actually not really who we are. So what are we? And then comes another elusive word, presence. And all we are is presence. Other people say we are love, or we are awareness, or we are space, or we are consciousness. And all these words point to no object. Which is such a puzzle for the mind. So I am, it's very clear, I am everywhere, every time, all the time. It's the only thing that is permanent is I. And the I is not an object. Can you relate to that? I mean, I'm sure everybody here relates to it. I'm just checking with the friends online. Can you relate? Does it make any sense, or is that kind of too complicated? It's actually so simple. And what why I mentioned the Tantra course for couples is that the couples, at least in that time, could actually implement this recognition in all the relating that happened in the time, or most of the relating happened. And what does that mean? What does it mean for us? If somebody pushes a button in you and you be the space for it, and you absorb your inner experience, because the button is coming from outside, but it triggers an inner experience that is already within us, within me. And the moment I remember myself as space, that button or that hurt or that, whatever you call it, that problem is absorbed in the spaciousness of the true being. Does it make sense? How is that possible? It's possible because we are space, and whatever happens in the space is already welcome. There is nothing wrong with whatever appears. And the strange thing is, as we rest as space, as we absorb any experience, this is one of the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra meditations from Osho, when we absorb any experience in the heart, like the words of Shiva is, "O beloved, as senses are absorbed in the heart, reach the center of the lotus." What's the center of the lotus? It's just beauty, space, love, no form anymore. So I think many of us again and again have had these glimpses, and then we forget and we get pulled out, and then we think we lost it, but nothing is ever lost. The moment we just take one little question, well, who or what is aware of you sitting here, for example? Naturally we say, I am. I'm that which is aware. And the strange thing is, this I am stays the same from the moment we begin to make sense as a child until we die. It stays the same. That's why many of us, even as the body gets a little bit older, we think this is a joke. We are not getting older. We are always 25. Or I don't know how old you feel always. No? Because that I am is not bound to time. It has nothing to do with time. It's not bound to the limited body. It's not bound to any thought. It is prior. So I'm kind of bringing that as a little remembering, because when I was tuning in about our Soma today, I felt the clear white quintessence came, called Serapis Bay. And Serapis Bay is kind of that essential clarity in each one of us that is not of the intellect. It is it's of the being. It is the space of spontaneity out of which every creative response appears. And it's a space where every experience, the good, the bad, the right, the wrong, the high, the low, is already absorbed and welcome. Reminds me of Rumi's poems, where he says, every moment another visitor, a sadness comes, a happiness comes, a devastation comes, a rage and hate comes, and a love comes. Don't reject any guest. Why can he say that? Because he realized, I am already the nothingness that is infinite space that can hold everything. Now, can you imagine if this understanding trickles into people's being deeper and deeper in a time like now, with COVID and lockdown and fear and all these intense stories that go all around the world. I mean, we are here in a very, very privileged situation that there is so little COVID, which means that we can have satsang today. And last week there was a big panic because one person had COVID and they cancelled the work of at least 1,000 people when they cancelled the music festival, the Blues Fest. All the caterers, the musicians, the organizers. My God, because of one person that could have been a spreader to many. So I'm not criticizing that this stopped, but it's this is an outcome of personality, not of presence. So perhaps this whole crisis situation with COVID is a wonderful device for us all to be more and more resting in presence rather than resting in the mad stories of our interpreting mind. And then, of course, there's wonderful food for our mind if you look at all the politics and the apparent nonsense of this, what's happening. But I don't want to go into that. It's a big topic, and we could talk endless about it, and everybody has its own opinion. But who has opinion? Who is that is aware of my opinion? It is always this desperate need to identify with something or with a certain personality, with a certain role, so that I exist. What if all these people, including us, would find out that the I as a form doesn't exist? Then the whole thing collapses. Then there's just an incredible presence, a wave of love, a recognition that if there's no person here, there's no person there. So what is here and there is wonderful presence. What attracts us, or at least me, I don't know about you, but what attracts me to meditation and satsang and to sometimes listening to some teachers or to Osho, it is always not so much the words we heard forever. It is the presence, which is not a thing. Can you relate to that? Is that same for you? That's the attraction. That's the attraction, if I look back, that brought us sitting with the Master in India for many years. No? What a crazy idea. You go from Europe, from a civilized world, into wonderful madness of India to sit at the feet of the Master. What are we sitting for? We're sitting because the presence of the Master resonates with the deepest core of our own being, which is also presence. And then, of course, our personality has projected that you have it and I don't. This is, of course, nonsense. He kept saying it, but we didn't get it. So I just imagine a whole world where everybody is present to now, a timeless moment. That's why I love these, these online meetings. Also, there's a possibility. I don't know how many are joining us tonight, but it must be at least 300-400 people around the world that are seduced into nobodiness, into presence, into beingness, into the reality of I, rather than the concept of I. So Serapis Bay, from the point of view of Arasoma, is really that crystal clear, effortless, choiceless awareness, where everything can be as it is. And that is actually Tantra. And the more we discover that open secret, when we allow, and remember the words from Kavisha, she put all these little signs everywhere, and one sign was, let yourself be, let the other be, and let things be. Starts with myself, let myself be. Is that difficult? No. I am already, so I can totally relax. Let others be, which means you don't have to follow your mental opinions. That is just basically the label that you give to others. You don't let them be. So let the other be. Let things be. And there's a magic, there's a byproduct that we completely overlook, except when we are in a more heightened awareness state. Now, we were so fortunate in that week in Tantra where the couples actually lived that. They let each other be. They stopped the bickering or the sarcasm or the put down or the assertiveness of me versus you, which of course is very easy to do because man and woman are so different. No? So if we only look as a man to a woman, how can you understand this woman? Or if you look from the woman to a man, how can she understand? It's two worlds. But when we let each other be, then the underlying connection of love, which is actually not a thing, which is the space, carries both in their being. And suddenly both are free. That's the whole science of Tantra. It's not a science, it's an obvious fact. Ne? So, shall we try Serapis Bay? If you could stand up, make your left wrist available. And you're going to receive 3 drops of Serapis Bay into your left wrist. Pure light of awareness. It's great that these days it comes in spotted form. And when you receive it, rub your wrists together. And close your eyes. Very good. And then you can raise your arms high above the head. Just imagine you're growing wings from the core of your spine to your fingertips. If you like angels, you can become an angel. And then you can allow your wings to open and close above the crown, crossing over at the midline of the body, and bringing that light of Serapis Bey, which is the light of our essential nature of awareness, into all the layers of the aura. In the opening, just imagine you open to the whole universe, to that vastness of the night sky. In the embrace, you embrace the inner universe. It's as vast as the outer. And then as you open your wings, you can embrace your forehead center, your third eye. In the opening, you can have perhaps the image that you're drawing the curtain of your identifications. All identities that you're seeking to be come and go, so it's not you. As you draw that curtain open, you open your vision to a clarity of seeing what is, without projection. And in the embrace, you can embrace that clarity, that sharpness of perception, that choiceless awareness. And a deep breath, and then you can allow your wings to open and embrace the throat chakra. In the opening, drawing the curtains of all your beliefs. You are not your beliefs. Every belief has come sometime, given by your parents, by society, by teachers, and so on. And in the embrace, embracing that space behind beliefs, beyond beliefs, that not knowing, that creative potential that can only manifest through not knowing, that creative expression in our life. Just feel that. Feel the opening. Feel that there is a space behind beliefs, beyond beliefs. Positive beliefs, negative beliefs, doesn't matter. And then when you come to the heart, as your wings open, drawing the curtains of all your ideals and shoulds. We have followed ideals and shoulds so that we get love. That's a big illusion. We want to get what we are. We are already love. So letting go of shoulds and should nots, that opens us to a spontaneous response to life every moment. And in the embrace, embracing the innocence of your heart. Very good. Now you can allow your wings to rest over your heart for a moment, absorbing the vibration of Serapis Bey deep in the silence of the heart, perhaps like a beam of light absorbed in the night sky. And then you can open your wings again around the solar plexus. And here in the opening, releasing your armor, your protective mechanisms, your strategies. Just lay them down. What are they? They are comparison, competition, judgments, blame. All these attempts to maintain a personality, an ego. And in the embracing your uniqueness. There's no one like you in the whole universe. And what a joy is that. And then allowing your wings to open around the second chakra, the lower belly. In the embrace, embracing that vulnerability. We can call it the inner child, that softness, that deep sensitivity. And in the opening all your so-called wounds, all your distortions in the emotional body, just open to the infinite. They are held there and they can naturally return into pure sensitivity just through opening and absorbing any feeling. That's such a secret, that we can absorb any experience, because any experience arises in us. A deep breath, and then you can open your wings around the first chakra, opening to life in this physical body. It's an amazing situation that the true I am is embodied, at least in this moment, which means the divine doesn't have any other form than yours. Opening to your sexual energy, to your vitality, to the expression of life through form, as that which is aware is always there in the background. And then you can bring Serapis Bay around your legs all the way down, connecting with Mother Earth. And this is a good moment to let go. Just imagine for a moment, just take the courage to let go anything you know what you thought you are, any identification, any thought, any comment, any interpretation. Just let it go. Just give it to the earth, so that for a moment you can be totally empty. Empty, empty, empty. And you will recognize, even if you're totally empty, I am is still here. What is that? And now as you come up, allow your wings to unwind around each other in a backward spiral, unwinding any residues of the holding fibers of the mind. And for a moment, just standing open, this being of clarity, of light, of space. And perhaps we feel a little bit more transparent right now. And then you can bring your palms together and your wrists close to your nostrils. And taking 3 deep breaths of this fragrance into the temple of the body. Very good. And then we can sit. So I want to dedicate the light of the candle today to pure, choiceless awareness in all of us. Now, since we talked about absorbing, I'd like to guide us into the Atisha meditation. I think most of you know it. Atisha was a beautiful master a few hundred years ago who discovered, like many others, that he is pure space, but he also discovered that he could absorb any suffering into the spaciousness of his own being. And in that space, in that inner sky, it would dissolve and turn into aspects of his essential nature, which means into love, into presence, into healing. So it's a very hands-on transformation possibility for every one of us. And it fits into one of the Vijnanabhairav Tantra meditations where Shiva shares with his beloved Shakti as senses are absorbed in the heart. Reach the center of the lotus. So I'm going to guide us into the heart, and we go through all the layers, deeper and deeper, and eventually, hopefully, we reach a place where there is nothing anymore, where it's just space. And then we're going to use the recognition of this space to actually look for anything that may have been creating suffering in your life. Maybe yesterday or today or last week or last month. There's always something where the emotional body reacts or maybe feels irritated or feels hurt or feels kind of disturbed. And we can actually use this, and instead of trying to fix it, trying to, therapize ourselves or trying to resist what is, we absorb it in the empty heart. And I'm going to guide us. And then the out-breath can carry the blessings of peace, of healing, of light, of who we truly are, back into the body-mind. It's kind of this bridge from the formless I am to the form and back into the formless. So you can close your eyes. It's good if you sit comfortably with your spine upright. Taking a few deep conscious breaths. Breathing in deeply. Breathing out deeply. Totally relaxing in the out-breath. Breathing in deeply. Breathing out deeply. One more time, deep in-breath. Deep out-breath. And now as you allow the breath to return to its natural rhythm, we can bring our relaxed attention to the center of the chest, to the heart center. And we will notice that wherever our attention goes is where our energy flows. So when we be attentive to the heart, perhaps we begin to feel more. Because in the outer layers of the heart is very connected to the feeling side of the being. So perhaps feel your heart. Or you get a sense, maybe your heart feels relaxed or open. Or maybe your heart feels shaky. Or maybe you don't feel anything. Maybe the head and the thought process is so strong that you cannot feel anything in the heart. Whatever you notice, whatever you experience, let it be so. Don't try to change it. No need to manipulate any experience. You just allow each in-breath to expand the experience of this moment. Allow each out-breath to be a letting go deeper inside. And you may notice each time we let go inwardly, we're actually letting go into an unknown space. The mind cannot know what we find here. Each in-breath is an expansion of just now. If you like, you can imagine that the in-breath is like a light touching the heart from within. And then the out-breath can take us deeper, deeper than the experience we just had in the in-breath. Breathing out into the unknown. And like that we can naturally melt deeper perhaps first deeper than thoughts. And thoughts, of course, continue. They keep moving in the sky of the mind, but they have no roots. No thought has a root. So we can naturally be the space behind thought. And as we melt deeper into the heart, we can melt deeper than feelings. Whatever the feeling is that the body or the heart experienced, our attention can step closer to ourselves, deeper than feeling. And deeper into the heart than the body sensations. Now this may feel or sound strange for some of you, but I can naturally melt deeper than body sensations because there is some space that is aware of the body sensations. So that awareness is deeper than the sensation. And we can melt deeper than the breath. And of course, breath naturally continues. And the very fact we can observe the breath means that observing consciousness is deeper than the breath itself. And deeper inside than the heartbeat. Also, heartbeat continues. And yet, we are deeper than this experience. That's why we can witness this experience. Now with the next deep breath, we can take a very deep in-breath. And the out-breath takes us deeper than all experiences. So all experiences are there in the periphery, and yet we are deeper than all experiences. When we ask ourselves, well, what is here? The mind can only say, there is no thing. Or there's infinite space. Now, the remembering or the recognition of this inner infinity can be used for a deep healing of the body-mind, of the personality, of the content of body-mind. And we can try this. Perhaps you can remember any recent disturbance, irritation, situation where your buttons got pushed, or where you were hurting, or where you were struggling. And now, as a new experiment, instead of resisting that experience, you invited riding on the in-breath to enter the heart. Allow that suffering, that cluster of thoughts and emotions and physical sensations, perhaps, allow it all to ride on the in-breath, enter the heart. Here we call it the empty heart. Flow through the heart and dissolve in the empty sky into the deepest depths that we just discovered behind all experience. And here it all dissolves naturally, just like clouds dissolve on a sunny day. And then the out-breath can carry the blessings of presence, of being, of love, of healing, of compassion, back into the body-mind, filling those areas in the body and in the mind and in the emotional body that were occupied by suffering. You may find another situation, or you can use the same situation where perhaps a certain level of suffering appeared, or irritation, or hurt. Let it ride on the in-breath. Invite it openly. Let the door of your heart be wide open. Don't hold it in your emotional body. Let it just flow through the heart and dissolve in the empty inner sky. It's not something you can do. It's just a natural phenomenon. Every morning mist dissolves when the sun rises. In the same way, our story, our suffering naturally dissolves as it is fully absorbed in the empty heart, the empty sky. And the out-breath can carry the blessings of peace, of healing, of compassion, of love back into the body-mind. With each in-breath, inviting a new suffering, a new problem, a new difficulty. Just allowing yourself to be completely open, absorbing into the empty heart any suffering. Let it flow through that heart and dissolve in the empty sky. And the out-breath, carrying the blessings of healing, of peace, of love, of tenderness and compassion back into the body-mind. And maybe we can all together take 5 more deep breaths, and with each in-breath, absorbing any residues of suffering that you may be aware of inside. Noticing how it naturally dissolves as it flows through the heart into the inner sky. Just like clouds flow into a clear sky and they're dissolved, as the sky is always here, even behind clouds. And breathing out the blessings of healing, of peace, of love. Now, when we are more familiar with this incredible simple possibility to simply absorb any experience, if we feel ready, we can extend the heart, or we could say extend the emptiness to friends and family, because every being at its core is pure space. So if you're aware of any suffering within your friends or families, you can invite their suffering into your heart. Let it ride on the in-breath, flow through the heart, and dissolve in the inner sky. And the out-breath can carry the blessings of peace, of healing, of love, of compassion, back to the friends and family. There's a very beautiful possibility if you're in a relationship and maybe there have been some misunderstandings or some hurts, or in your family with your children or with your parents. Just invite any disturbance here. Invite it openly, absorb it in your heart. Any pain, any suffering they may experience. Let it flow through the heart and dissolve in emptiness. And the out-breath can carry the blessings of space, of peace, of healing, of relaxation, back to the friends and family. And you can do this now in your own rhythm, perhaps another at least 5 deep breaths. And with each in-breath, absorbing any suffering you're aware of in your family and friends. Like I have a friend who just recently had a very strong accident where many scars and hurts, and the suffering of it can be easily absorbed. Riding on the in-breath, flowing through the heart, dissolving in emptiness. Breathing out, blessings, healing, caring, compassion, love. A few more deep breaths. Feeling how the presence we all share is supporting this inner space so wonderfully. And then if we feel ready, just if we feel ready, if not, you can continue with yourself and with your family. But if we feel ready, we can invite the suffering of all beings into the heart. The heart is big enough. The inner sky is as vast as the outer sky. So we can invite the stream of suffering flow into your heart, be unhindered, absorbing in your heart. Let it flow through the heart and dissolve in emptiness. Just like the thickest clouds dissolve on a sunny day. And the out-breath can carry the blessings of healing, of relaxation, of peace, of love, back to all beings. Perhaps you can visualize how this wave of blessings touches the whole humanity. Breathing in the stream of suffering, and it can so easily be absorbed because it has no roots. And the out-breath carrying the blessings of compassion, of healing, like a breeze going all around the world and touching all beings. And a few more very deep breaths. Feeling that with each breath there's more space, more openness, more capacity to simply absorb whatever the experience is. And breathing out the essential qualities of being, which is love, peace, joy, silence, compassion. And one last very deep breath here, absorbing, breathing in suffering, breathing out blessings. And then we can drop even deeper, just letting go into that inner infinite universe. And we will be just sitting as silent presence for a while, as each out-breath takes us deeper and deeper and deeper. feel this peace. This is not a creation, this is a revelation. It is always here at the core of being. Feel the silence. It's not a dead silence, it's an alive silence. The silence of being. Feel this inner endlessness, no beginning, no end, no time, no later, no earlier, just here, just this presence. How healing just sitting here with you. And from that depths inside, in a moment we can take a deeper breath and gently becoming aware of the form again. Presence is formless, and yet within the formless is this body. Feeling your body again. But bring with you that vastness, bring with you that spaciousness. Until you find a good moment to open your eyes to a new moment here. Yes, and another deep breath, and a little stretch back into the body. we probably could sit a lot longer in that depth, in that presence. But perhaps there's something you would like to say or ask, and also this is an invitation for the friends who are online with me tonight. If there's any comment or anything you would like to share, Melly is here and she can read your questions if you are online. So feel free. But don't feel obliged. We can also just enjoy the silence, the presence. And of course, I'm a little curious, especially for the friends who perhaps for the first time experience the Atisha meditation. How did it go? Maybe you can give a sign just like this, or like this, or like this. It kind of got revived for me in the last weeks, and we can do that we can allow that in any situation. No? Only thank you. Only thank you. if we can just remember this. You notice how presence is so much stronger than any thought or interpretation or labeling of reality. And just marinating in this. Is it just me? It's so sweet, isn't it? It's so, oh, yes. And in a way this is possible every moment when we remember that whatever arises in the body-mind and we absorb it, it turns into this. And we recognize that we can absorb anything. Why? Because the true me, the true I am, is so vast that it can take anything. The whole universe just takes anything, allows everything to be. So to continue this journey, there's a few announcements. It's like one is, this is for the online friends, if there's any few friends that listen to us here from Korea, tomorrow morning we're starting a whole weekend course where we deepen the exploration of being, specifically in Korea with Korean translation. Maybe not for us here so much. And so if you're listening from Korea, you can connect with Samada, who is organizing that course. It's over 2 weekends. It's Saturday and Sunday, starting tomorrow. And the next weekend, and the title of the course is Coming Home, which is, we are coming home right now. No? We are home right now. Home is, there's a song, home is where the heart is, but home is where emptiness is. Home is where space is. Home is that within us that is infinite and holds everything. And the strange phenomenon in this is that anything that in the personality structure creates suffering is dissolved into presence. Don't ask me how that works. I don't know, but it works. Because our true essence is presence. And then for all the other friends who speak English, we have another satsang next week. And hopefully many more weeks. There will be also a course in Japan for Japanese friends, but this will be in May. And then later there will be a course for Swedish friends and actually English-speaking friends, where we will try the impossible and explore the teachings of Tantra through Zoom, through online. And this will be exciting and wonderful. Until we are actually having a real Tantra for Couples course again in November, which will be here in Sangsuriya. So many possibilities. Stay tuned. Remember who you are. Remember that what we share here, just by being as being is not just selfish. We're kind of creating a field that probably many people unknowingly pick up, because there's only one being, and the more people resonate in being, the more this wave of consciousness can expand and perhaps bring a new light into this crazy world. So thank you so much for being here tonight. It's such a good excuse to be together, no? Such a good excuse to hang out in presence. And thank you for everyone that have been joining us online. Remember, this is so simple and easy that it's available for everyone, every moment, if we just stop for a moment. There's a cup of tea for you here, and maybe a cookie or two. So thank you for tonight, and have a beautiful rest of the day and rest of the evening.